Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show today. We are going to have a great show for you today. You know what? Today is one day that I am completely and entirely irate. Billionaires, multimillionaires. We are going to have a great show. I'm going to be going through that blog of the week quickly because I want to hear your voices. I'm going to be doing a whole lot. I'm going to be talking a whole lot about some of the topics about MMT, Ocasio-Cortez, and all these other issues because, folks, this is real. But anyhow, Nabu, how are you doing, my dear great engineer?
I'm doing excellent, man. I'm doing excellent.
And, of course, we have right next to Nabu, Lupita. How are you doing, Lupita?
I'm doing amazing.
I know you're always doing amazing because we are going to have a great show. But you know what, folks? My pad is down, so what that means is I'm reading off of the laptop. But anyhow, it goes like this. Today's topic is called It's More Than Taxing the Rich and Wealthy, but an Economic Redesign. Again, it is more than taxing the rich. It's an economic redesign. Subtitle: It is our economic design that allowed the rich to extract everyone else's share. It is time to examine other designs that include modern monetary theory, which we've discussed before on Politics Done Right. Folks, anytime you hear that thing, modern monetary theory, all the right wing goes crazy. The capitalists go crazy. Oh my God, they're going to blow up the system. We have to control the money. The money must be controlled by the private sector, by these MMT. Hell no is what they say. But you know what that means? They say hell no because we are talking about the democratization of money. The democratization of money. And that is their biggest fear, folks. The democratization of money. Anyhow, rich people are out vocally underestimating our intelligence as they try to justify their legal, not illegal, their legal ill-gotten gains. Americans who supported Donald Trump are starting to realize something we were begging them to see. Donald Trump scammed them. Donald Trump scammed his own along with the rest of America. It is a tax cut for the middle class that wasn't. In fact, many are starting to find out they will be paying more in taxes. Yes, a further transfer of middle class income and wealth to the wealthy. Look, it is our fraudulent economic system that allowed this to occur. Our system has allowed this to occur. But before we get into the program, I want to remind all our listeners that we are KPFT, a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. And as a political activist myself, the ones that I love, Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Then we have, of course, Open Journal
with Dwayne Bradley and the crew, and that's on Mondays from 6 to 7.
And, of course, we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores, every Tuesday from noon to 2.
I love Juan Flores. That you know, él me da todo lo que estamos de la música.
Oh,
and then,
yes.
You know
absolutely.
what I mean, man.
Absolutely.
And then we got the other group that likes to give me all that good stuff de la música. Estamos hablando de Generation
That's
Radio.
right.
And who is that again?
With myself, and that'll be promptly after this show.
Hey, folks, let me tell you guys better stick around after this show for Asian Radio because I tell you what, if you want to hear the beats of the world, you better come on here because aren't you guys doing Naboo?
We're doing world music, everything. Latin, reggae, South Asian, Middle Eastern, North African, everything.
You know, I go home jamming. When I leave here, I go home jamming. Folks.
Awesome.
Anyhow, folks, don't forget about Really But Not Really, a hip-hop and R&B party show, and that is on?
That is on
Wednesday.
Wednesdays
yeah.
from 10 to midnight.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, with Rosemont and Marcel.
I need to get that other name on my blog.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and then we have Border Radio, Best of Americana Music, featuring our one and only
Susan Darrow, every Thursday from 4 to 6.
And then we have Black on Both Sides, a public affairs program where they, with the effort to highlight politics and public affairs in line with our individual and collective worldview. And that's
with Gordon and his crew, and that's on the HD side. So remember, we do have an HD schedule filled with great programming here at KPFT.
We are loaded, folks. KPFT is a station that deserves your support. So please remember, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please remember, if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
Remember that, my brothers and my sisters, and I need you to listen today. I really need you to listen today to the whole show all through the blog of the week, because, you know, I just put some touches on it. This blog of the week is going to be on my blog site, but it won't go active until Tuesday because it will be the front page on dailycoast.com. You know, the biggest liberal blog site in the country. So it'll be there on Sunday. So check it out there on Sunday. Don't forget to go to dailycoast.com, DAILYKOS.com. So, folks, I want to get into the show, and I'm going to read the blog faster than normal because it's a long one, but I want you to kind of absorb it. But we really, really, really need it because today is a serious show. I want to make sure that you guys don't fall for the crap that is about to happen. The plutocrats are getting scared. The plutocrats are getting scared. And when they get scared, you know what a dog does when it's pushed in a corner. That is what we're seeing now. So, folks, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, my brothers and my sisters, and look, the people that I want to really touch as well. I know I don't have to tell a lot of this to my left-wingers, okay? I know that, but please listen still. But my folks that are calling themselves centrists and moderates and so forth, folks, you don't understand. It's a war. It's a class war. I wrote the book a long time ago called, not long time ago, in 2010-11 or so, called Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I remember I was at the coffee party when I wrote that book. Well, I'm still at the coffee party, but I was there. And the coffee party folks didn't want to give the book away as a gift, whatever, when we give away gifts for membership and so forth. They didn't want to give away the book for a gift because they said it was too in your face about what's really going on. And every year since then, it has gotten worse. And every year since then, people have seen it. So here it is. We must take back our wealth from the super rich methodically before it is too late. Many think when one criticizes the super rich, specifically the ultra multimillionaire and the billionaire, that it is nothing more than wealth envy. While that may be true for a few who themselves were unable to attain that feat, I am sure for most it's about equity and fairness. I didn't say equality, I said equity and fairness. And here's the deal, folks. Most remember the Greed Speech movie star Michael Douglas character Gordon Gekko made in the 1987 movie Wall Street. It was short, but it was conforming. It was a confirming catalyst that allowed me to see the fraud that is our current economic system. And I'm going to read his speech. It's short. And this is a movie, but it's so close to reality. Teldar Paper, Mr. Cromwell. Teldar Paper has 33 different vice presidents, each earning over $200,000 a year. Now, I have spent the last 2 months analyzing what all these guys do, and I can't still figure it out. One thing I do know is that our paper company lost $110 million last year, and I'll bet that half of that was spent in all the paperwork going back and forth between these vice presidents. The new law of evolution in corporate America seems to be survival of the unfittest. Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated. In the last 7 deals that I've been involved with, there were 2.5 million stockholders who have made a pre-tax profit of $12 billion. Thank you. I am not a destroyer of companies. I am a liberator of them. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for the lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life. Greed for money, for love. Knowledge has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldor Paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much. Doesn't that speech sound like you're watching CNBC? It sure as hell sound that way to me. The essence of that speech was that of a master, a puppeteer, controlling companies and thus the lives of millions with financial transactions that built or created nothing of value. They created nothing. They made money by seeing the economic pieces solely as pawns to play with the wealth extraction. Plutocrats and capitalist apologists can attempt to frame it in a more palatable form, but they cannot remove the stench for those not wearing gas masks. It is clear, however, that Americans are not greedy to the extent plutocrats are. They prey on that reality to stuff themselves. If greed was good, as we all suffered from the excesses of it, the ones who would succeed would be the ones capable of making something of value to society, not those who depend on the manipulation of numbers. In other words, if everybody was greedy, the people that would succeed in society would be the people who can actually make something. And these guys have the ability to make nothing. They move numbers, they move papers, but they make nothing of value. You cannot smoke what they give you. You cannot eat what they give you. You cannot drive what they give you. You can do absolutely nothing that they produce. These plutocrats are simply the users of your intellect, the users of everything, everybody else. And for that, they're billionaires, and for that, they're ultra-millionaires. Folks, we have to refocus the indoctrination that has been placed on us via the Powell Manifesto. It was designed in my new book that's coming out called How to Make America Utopia. I point out the items in the Powell Manifesto that has us thinking the way we are actually thinking, to believe that these people have value. When writing my first book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, I exposed my economic innocence and quickly learned from how a free enterprise system is supposed to work. I wrote the following. When I came to America in 1979 to attend college, I had very little knowledge of economics. At 18, I knew nothing about the stock market, taxes, supply and demand, money, or the interactions thereof. As an engineering student, economics was not a part of the curriculum either. As an avid news geek, I remember hearing terms like inflation, stagflation, Dow Jones average, and still these other economic terms I wanted to learn. I decided to take an Economics 101 class. The class was an eye-opener. It is there that I learned about supply and demand. I remember one of the first questions the professor asked was that what would happen to the price of a product if there was a lot of demand for said product. In my naivete, in my innocence, I said the price of the product should fall, since the person or company selling the product would have made enough money to cover expenses and could then afford to lower the price. I just could not help but feel that increasing the price for something that was selling well was unethical. Well, I learned fast that the free enterprise system is designed, operated differently, and that pricing was actually how you maintained a somewhat balance on supply and demand. I learned that if company A has a product, they can increase the price of that product just to the point where the price times its volume less expenses to make the product causes a drop in overall profits for that particular product. A product A price that generates a profit, it will ultimately cause company B, company C, and so to start making a similar product, and likely prices would then start to lower. So it goes through that. I wrote about that whole scenario, what taught me these things. The above scenario is known as competition, and in a free enterprise system of Free of corruption, it is self-balancing, self-regulating, and efficient. In a free enterprise system, you have the freedom to create virtually any product or service that you believe a demand would exist for. Demand for that, what you, an entrepreneur, has to offer will determine if your product or service would be a profitable and profitability of that product or service will likely determine if others are likely to offer similar products as well. So I got it afterwards. I got it. But that's not what we have. I learned about free enterprise, but was never indoctrinated by what our business schools try to impart on students today. Capitalism is not free enterprise. I repeat, capitalism is not free enterprise. Gecko was not an unrealistic character. We've come to see that today, plutocrat created more damage to the economy than anyone could, than Gecko could. They are worse than Gecko. They made an extractive, immoral, pilfering system vogue. While still going through the process of learning the real economic system beyond the macroeconomic courses I took, I went to see the Eddie Murphy movie called Trading Places. While the movie Wall Street was confirming, Trading Places was the movie that opened my eyes to the fraud of a system where those who produce with their labor and intellect were not the beneficiaries of their worth. Eddie Murphy was a bomb on the streets. Two plutocrats, brothers, made a bet that they could turn an executive into a bomb and a bomb into a stock market executive. The experiment was successful for the brother who turned Eddie Murphy, the bomb, into a successful stock executive. There was a social-economic message in the movie, but more importantly, it showed how detached the capital markets are from reality. Moreover, even though just a movie, when one researches, there is little knowledge of anything substantive needed to be in the capital markets world. You don't need to know all that much. One just needs to be chosen to be a member of the club. You don't need to know much. You need to be chosen. Then when you're chosen, they teach you how to pilfer Americans. You get chosen into the club. When you get into the club, then you learn how to pilfer the American population. And being a member affords one an inordinate control over the lives of millions through our corporate structure. The plutocrats, the brothers in the movie, bet $1 for the experiment and in the process would have destroyed 2 lives had Murphy not exposed the bet. Unfortunately for most Americans, those responsible for discovering the bets are willfully asleep at the wheel. Americans have been paying the price for this for over 40 years. No human being has provided enough labor and intellect in our current economy to be worth $100 million, let alone billions of dollars. That hoarding of capital is on the backs of most working people, directly or indirectly. We can do better. We must think outside of the box. But we must begin by recovering the wealth that this system allowed a few to extract from our economy, effectively being an economic parasite to most of us. It will not be easy to get those policies passed given the number of elected officials on the take. But folks, we have got to do it. We have got to do it. And that is the blog of the week. Folks, give me a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Let me hear from you. I would love to hear from folks. Whether you agree or disagree, I would love to hear from you. All lines are open but one. All lines are open, so I'm here to take your calls. I'm here to take your thoughts. Give me a call. Okay, let's go. Línea número uno. Scott, come on in. And we only have Scott right now, so lines, come on in. We're ready to take calls. Talk to me, Scott.
Thank you. Should Medicare and Social Security continue to be financed by a payroll tax?
Well, here's the reality. I don't like taxes like payroll taxes because they are known as regressive taxes.
Okay, they are regressive, I understand.
But I think everybody should, yes, have a stake In taxes, if you make some money, you pay some taxes. We just make it graduated based on how much income you make. So
Okay, a progressive
yes.
tax instead of a payroll tax.
Yes, sir.
And I would think it ought to be a separate income tax that goes into the Social Security fund. I think that would offer Social Security better protection from Republicans.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what I think, Scott. I think by us dividing, having a Social Security tax, having a Medicare tax, having excise tax, having all these different things, right? I think it misses the boat. What I honestly think, my dear friend, is that we should just know what our budget is and tax based a general progressive tax based on what our budget is. I mean, it gets overly complicated when we start talking about all these different kinds of taxes, in my humble opinion. I mean, somebody may be able to come on and say, well, Egberto, the reason why we have to have separate ones is because of X, Y, or Z. I mean, I'm open to listen, but I mean, I think the easiest method to do is simply to have a national progressive tax. And having a national progressive tax, I think, would take care of all of that. In my
But then there
opinion.
are also state and local taxes.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't, again, like I said, these are different governmental agencies, right? So I mean, and we expect different services from different agencies. I want to pay for what we use progressively, and I think that is fine. Again, I'm not averse to taxes at all. Taxes are necessary. In fact, when I made a lot of money, I never once looked for some way to hide money to not pay my taxes, because I always felt a responsibility. If you're doing well, you owe it back to society. The problem is there are a certain percentage of greedies. And by the way, Americans are not greedy. I love how the plutocrats like to go on TV and say Americans are so greedy and greed is what's good. No. If Americans were greedy, they would have had the pitchforks on those plutocrats long time ago for not having done anything to earn the money they have.
I think it was Reagan administration that started taxing Social Security benefits.
Right.
Now, I'm on Social Security, and I don't usually owe taxes.
Right.
Sometimes I do.
Right.
I hope I don't start owing taxes because of this Trump Act.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were not, the people that really got hit with the Trump tax, Trump didn't give you a break at all, okay? Trump lied when he said he gave you a break. What he mostly did is change the way people got their deductions, He changed the amount of money that was held back, so people got the semblance of having a tax break.
Yeah.
And then what happened then is when they went to, what he also did is he removed all the deductions. So he did drop the rate, but he removed the deduction. So let's say you're a Social Security person that doesn't pay a whole lot of, don't have a lot of deductions, meaning that you work and buy your gloves and all that kind of stuff, you will be fine. But for all those people that deduct an office expense, for all those people that deduct the shoes that they have to wear, they have to go, hey, Scott, my lines are completely full.
Okay.
Thank you so kindly for calling,
you.
sir. You have a wonderful day, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to Brad. Come on in, Brad, line 2.
Hey, Egberto, do you believe that we should tax people making over $10 million 70%?
More than 70%. I want them to be taxed at 90%.
All right, well, here's my question.
Yes.
All right. Let's say you're making $30 million a year.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You subtract the $10 million
Yes.
in this scenario.
Yes.
You're going to be taxed about $14 million, right?
No. On the $10 million, you'll be the rest. And on the okay, you take out $10 million out of the 30. On $20 million, yeah, I'll take 90% of it, not
Okay.
70.
But corporate tax is 21%, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is going to stop? Because this actually happens in Hollywood, and it probably happens with Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
When Al
Actually,
Sharpton
make the
losses,
point, my brother Brad.
point is this.
I love you,
Why
Brad,
don't
but
you
I have a lot of
just form
calls.
a company called Egberto Willies Incorporated.
Yes, sir.
Now you're going to only have to pay 21% tax instead of 70%, right?
Let me qualify that, because you're so smart, and I love that you brought that up, you see? Because remember, there's this stuff called carried interest and a whole lot of tricks that people use. They create a company and all of that to build through the company. I am not for that at all. So in other words, when we're revamping the tax rates, we're also going to close that possibility of anybody doing that, sir.
Okay. Well,
And by the way,
agree
you're
with that.
smart. Okay, listen to me, Brad. I am glad you said that because that is a very important thing you brought up there. Because what you've noticed is you're going to tell me, Egberto, well, people will find ways to get around it. To which I say they only find ways to get around it when politicians give them the options to do that. And with electing progressive politicians, no, we're not going to allow it. We're taking things back, is what I'm saying, sir. Anything else, my brother?
No, it's a lovely day. You need to get outside.
All right. You have a great one, Brad. Take care, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to William. Come on in, William.
Hello, Egberto.
Talk to me, brother.
Yeah, you know what Benito's doing by stalking Trump and his whatever you want, stormtrooper meetings?
Yes.
Are you there?
Tell me.
Well, I think it's great
I think so too.
because it'll start to stir up. Most people that we're laid back. People that are left wing, liberals, whatever you want to call us, Democrats. We don't get all jazzed up like these people that want to hurt somebody and put all this fear mongering out.
Right. Well, what we need to do, though, is let me tell you something where progressives fail. All of us, we fail. And let me tell you how we fail. You notice Trump tell people how, when he talks about the border, when he talks about he tells them, these people are coming to kill you. They're coming to give you drugs, etc., etc., etc. The reason he can get away with that, sir, is because we don't give that counter argument. There are people dying in this country from what corporations are doing to them, but we don't advertise it. Let me give you an example. I'm here in Texas. I think you're in California, but I'm here in Texas, okay?
No, I'm in Texas.
You're in Texas. Okay, great. Sorry.
I'm right here in Houston. I live on the west side. I've been here 25 years.
I got the wrong William. Okay, here we go, William. We can go to Pasadena, okay? Pasadena, Texas
I already know. I mean, yeah,
I know
it's a
you
toxic,
know, but
environment.
you know that. I'm thankful that you know that. I want the people who don't to know that. So let me say this. That's Cancer Alley. Those are reputable companies that are out there lining 225, lining all these different big highways. Okay, my dear friend? So here's the deal, however.
So bad they can't even drive on the freeway.
So here's the deal, sir. Here's the deal. Progressives should be out there. We shouldn't just be saying tax corporations or corporations are bad. We are supposed to be saying you need to fear these guys. When you go to the doctor and you have a cancer that was never in your family, that's the reason. When you go to the doctor and you have a blood disease, that's the problem. We have not instilled the fear in Americans that they need to have of these corporations we claim are bad or not doing the right things. That is where the Democrats and progressives have failed. You have to be out there telling the truth. And the truth is, these
corporations, all his lies, they've reversed everything that it took 40 years to build.
Brother, you're right. But Williams, we have to be out there saying,
that's what I called about. I said, look, this is a good idea, and the other candidates can jump on board.
And didn't I give you?
They don't have to be there. They can be right in where they're campaigning.
And I gave you kudos for it, William. Thank you so kindly for calling, my brother.
Yeah.
You have a good one, okay, brother? Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go to Senor Tom, line 4. Come on in, Tom. And
Hi there.
We have 2 lines available, folks, so call on in.
A lot of people that you're leaving out
yes, sir,
are our own congressmen and senators. They're middle class when they run, and 3 years after they're in office, they're millionaires, multimillionaires, and I got a feeling they're making a whole lot of money under the table.
You would be right. You would be right.
Through by hook or by crook or just hiding it, and I'm not for that, and I'm all for term limits, as well as taxes for multi-billionaires. But our own congressmen and senators, they're just as greedy as anybody in Monsanto Chemical that's selling Agent Orange to the world.
Now, let me stop you a second, Tom. I want to tell folks we have two lines open, 713-526-5738. I want to pack these lines to make sure that we can get all your thoughts in. 713-526-5738. Two lines open. Johnny, Mark, David, I'm coming to you guys next, so hang with me. Okay, here's the deal, Tom. You're correct, but here's our responsibility, okay? I don't believe in term limits. I put it this way. If I have John Doe that is in Congress doing a hell of a job, and you and I have a good feeling that he is not on the take, I want him to stay in power if he wants to stay in power. So what I'm saying is I don't want to take away my freedom from being able to keep a politician that's a good one. Now, there are a lot of arguments people would give me and say, well, there's no good No, there are good politicians. And a lot of times we make the good politicians. In other words, if these politicians knew that our eyes would always be on them, that we will always be watching them, then I think a lot of them would be forced into being good. Here's the deal, that these guys have to be on the phone as soon as they get to Washington continuously to raise money. That's a problem. And that is something that we need to mitigate. And that would probably help some of the situation that you and I both know about. They leave as having a little bit of money. When they're about to leave, their funds are stashed up, and then they leave millionaires. So, I mean, you're right about that.
Because they want to keep on going for 30 years in the same office.
Right.
Or rise up and keep making more money. They're after money, too, just like Warren Buffett.
You're
also,
so right.
I'm going to tell you what you will never get out of the congressmen and senators.
Yes.
Is our right to dictate where our tax money goes. If I pay $5,000 a year in taxes, I want it to go to like 3 different departments.
Right.
And you ain't getting that. Oh, no, pal, you don't get to dictate where your money goes. We'll tell you where your money goes.
Yeah, let me tell you, Tom, I don't know how that would work about me telling we have a representative democracy, right? And I have to believe in, if you and I elect somebody good, and remember, I think you're talking from the position of we elect somebody and ultimately they turn out bad. I want to get to the other place where we elect people that they get together, sit down in rooms, and they do good. I think if
most of the time, they're bad.
I'm not disagreeing with you, sir, at all. I think what we as constituents need to do is not do what we always do, and that is, I know we're very busy, but we have to stay engaged. I have this thing on my site that says that political engagement should be a requirement for citizenship. The reason I say that is I think if we get the government we deserve, we have to be actively involved. And that is one of the things I like to promote, being actively involved. I got to go, Tom, but thank you so kindly for calling, sir. You have a wonderful day. Okay, let's go, El Senor Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey, Egberto, your second call, Brad, he sounded actually reasonable today. I'm feeling very hopeful.
Let me tell you something. We have great callers. All my callers, left, right, middle, anarchists. I have great callers. So some of my anarchists and conservatives, come on, call in.
I'm saying as a Tea Party guy, he's normally off the chains, but today he was, pretty reasonable, and it makes me feel good.
Well, I mean, if somebody makes you feel
reasonable, so
Johnny, if somebody makes you feel good, I am happy.
Keeping with your opening statement today, I'd like to urge people to remind people to make donations to not just KPFT and Free Speech TV, which I'm doing, but also go to Stacey Abrams' site for her advocacy. Her group is called Fair Fight Action. One word, fairfightaction.com. And I made my $15 donation to her today.
Johnny, let me tell you something, Johnny. You've done activist work today. You have done activism today, movement work today. And let me tell you why. Because what Stacey is doing is not only about Georgia. It's about voting throughout the country. So
That's right.
So kindly. Anything else you want to add? My phones are completely filled up. Before
I hang up, I just want to give you an update to my candidate list for 2020.
Let me hear it.
Broke them down to 4 categories real quick, less than 60 seconds.
Yes, sir.
The definitely not category has remained the same. I've added Kristen Gillibrands to Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, so they're definite no's.
Amen.
And then the 2 people that need work are in the not ready category, maybe 2024, would be Kamala Harris and Beto O'Rourke, and we know the reasons why. I went through that already.
Yes.
Then in the maybe category, we've got 3 people, and I say maybe because I'm not familiar with their voting record yet. I have to check their voting records. Assuming if they're solid, then I would endorse either Mazie Hirano, Sheldon Whitehouse, or Sherrod Brown.
Right.
And then finally, the definitely yes category, of course, Bernie Sanders, Alan Grayson, and then Nina Turner and Cynthia McKinney.
And what about Elizabeth?
And I'd like to see for vice president either Elizabeth Warren or Stacey Abrams. They would be excellent.
Okay. Let me just say one thing that I think you got wrong. Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown is off my list. And
Why?
Well, because he came out and he had a very spurious Medicare for All answer that was very centrist, and I'm so sorry. I love the guy, but once he plays that game, it's gone. We don't have the luxury right now to play the centrist game, and I'm trying to tell Democrats, both centered, moderates, right-wing Democrats, I'm trying to say, brothers, if you really want to win, even Republicans have left-wing ideas now with these particular issues, from Medicare for All, 52% for Republicans, 70% for the country. I am sorry, we're not ready to play games, Johnny. Johnny, anything else you have to add real quick?
You know what I just did?
Yes, sir.
I moved Sherrod Brown from my maybe list to my definitely no list.
Okay.
Have a good day.
You have a good day. Thank you so kindly, brother. Bye-bye. All right, let's go to Mark, line 6.
Hey, Bertha, how are you doing today?
All right, sir. Talk to me, my brother.
I just wanted to make a little comment. Everyone was talking about taxes. I read this book by Kurt Vonnegut. I may have the title wrong. I think it was God Bless You, Mr. Rosewater. And the theme in this book was there was a lawyer, and the lawyer knows that every time money or property changes hands, that there's a tax. And his goal is just to get a piece of it. And it's just kind of, I know you like talking about tax brackets and beyond a certain amount, they get taxed less or more. And, I think just the best lens to look at it through is to say every time money changes hands, there should be a tax. And, why do certain people get a different exemption than you do? Why do certain people not really pay as much as other people? And, because you look at a sales tax, money's changing hands, it's very low level. You look at income tax, it's a lot more money, a lot higher tax, and it's just it's not really anything of substance, but it's just kind of the idea that
no, I get
when
you.
money changes hands, there's a tax.
What your idea sounds simple, right? It really does, and I've gone through that. And here's the only problem I have with this, Mark, and that is it is a regressive tax. And what I mean by this is that most of our money, when rich people say you couldn't tax our income enough to make any dent in our budget, they're absolutely right, because that's not where their money is. Their money is in their assets. And I like to remind folks, do you have a home, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so here's the deal. You are not, are you a multimillionaire?
I am definitely not.
Okay, so here's my deal. But every year, we tax you on your home. Your wealth is your home. So we have a wealth tax on people like you. All right. But, the Koch brothers and Warren Buffett and all of those guys have a ton of money sitting down in assets, right? And it's their wealth as well. And they pay zero property tax on that as they keep that year over year. Jeff Bezos is at $160 billion, and he pays nothing in property taxes. So my thing is, that's why that system doesn't really work, because it doesn't capture where the value really is. These people extracted so much out of you. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
I work for a cell tower company. I make maps.
You make maps. Okay, so you actually do something, right? And for the job that you are doing, sir, somebody is getting a huge cut of that is sitting down at their pool sipping a glass of wine. And what I'm saying, and that person who's making that extra delta off of your money, that you worked for, that's sipping that glass of wine, when it's time to tax the income they made from you, from your work, it is taxed at a maximum of like 15 or 20%. You have a maximum tax rate that can go way up to 37%. We have to, when I spoke earlier and I read the blog of the week and said we need a complete redesign, that is the kind of stuff I was talking about, sir. But anyway, gotta go. Thank you so kindly for calling.
Thanks. You have a great day.
Have a wonderful day. Okay, I'm going to go to Stacy, line 4. Come on in, Stacy.
Hey, you said that we live in a representative democracy, but I can't figure out how that's true. If the superdelegates had already decided who was going to be our presidential nominee in the Democratic Party before anybody cast a vote.
Let me explain that.
I'll listen to your answer offline.
Okay, thank you so kindly, Stacy. I understand. I understand what Stacy's saying, right? And Stacy's still and should be upset of what happened in the Democratic Party and actually it's happened more than once, right? Where the super delegates had an inordinate amount of who actually gets placed or become the nominee of a party, and here I am saying we're representative democracy. Well, we are. That these people made the decision that they made. Simply didn't represent us. We have several lines open now, folks. 713-526-5738. So if you got a business signal, you won't get one now. 713-526-5738. One more time. 713-526-5738. Going back to Stacy's and the answer to Stacy's question. She says, look, representative democracy means we asked somebody to represent us as the, and I know you know that, Stacey, but I just want to put another interpretation on it and saying we cannot, once they are voted in to represent us, we cannot necessarily control how they vote. But what we do have is all those people that are super delegates, the ones that are super delegates because they're senators, the ones that are super delegates because they're congresspersons and that kind of stuff, we can always vote them out. So that is the idea. Now, when it comes to what corporations do, shareholders, we can't vote them out. And that's why it behooves me to wonder how people are more interested or people are more comfortable when a lot of our society is in the hands of the private sector, when it is we, the people, the government, that we have power to control. And we, the people, have zero power over the corporation. We, the people, have zero power over what they do. Shareholders can tell that corporate entity whatever they want to do. Kill us if they want to. Well, not true because they'll go to jail. But, I mean, you follow my point. So we have to be very cognizant of what's really going on in our society. Okay, line one. Let's go to David. Come on in, David.
Good afternoon, Egbert.
Good afternoon, sir.
What I'd like for you to talk about a little bit is the going back to your economic treatise, is the corporate welfare.
Right.
And define for people the word subsidy, because to me a subsidy is something that is supposed to prop up some entity that is in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I can see, the subsidies that are given to big corporations are basically thefts from taxpayers.
Right.
Because they don't really need them. Johnny missed one name that I'd like to throw out there, and that is Tulsi Gabbard.
Okay.
From Hawaii. Mainly on her foreign policy. And I wish a lot more of the front runners would adopt her foreign policy. I think the situation in Venezuela is a perfect example of what we should not be doing.
Well, I agree with you completely. I agree with you completely. And hold one second, folks. I know we don't have any sound on our Facebook and that sort of stuff. I mean, there's some issues that we ran into here, so I'll try to get that covered. Yeah. Okay. When you talk about subsidies, sir, I think you're asking. Let me ask, in what regards are we asking about subsidies?
Well, the subsidization of companies, large corporations, the biggest corporations, Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
Exxon. Why should they get a cent of taxpayer dollars? I mean, they don't pay corporate taxes. NBC, GT,
Mm-hmm.
GTE, they don't pay any corporate taxes. They take all their taxes off. Where do they pay? In Ireland, Google. I mean, the whole reason for doing business is to not pay taxes, and yet they want to pilfer off the public teeth, so to speak, to extract as much money as they can.
I agree with you on the subsidies. I don't believe in corporate subsidies at all. I think corporate subsidies is nothing more than corporate welfare. Okay.
Exactly. That's the term I was
yes.
searching for.
Yeah, I think it is welfare.
I mean, whenever AOC or anybody else mentions like her 70% tax rate and so on, the people that you really have to watch out for is the actual corporate media, because they're involved also.
Yes.
I mean, they're involved to make money. If you want to have fair elections, you need to do two things. Do away with electronic voting machines first, and second of all, publicly funded election campaign.
I am 100% with you. I am 100% with you. So I mean, and let's talk about Venezuela. I don't want to change the subject on Venezuela, but I just want to give you a quick answer. We're doing it all wrong in Venezuela. For anybody who wants to have the real story in Venezuela, I did a blog post last night. If you go to egbertowillies.com, you can see my post on Venezuela, which mirrors what Mr. Palast has to say. I don't remember his first name.
I've been following Venezuela from even before the Chavistas got into power.
Right.
And I can tell you, most of the American media is monolithic in its misunderstanding, or I should say misrepresentation of what's actually going on there.
Right.
The conditions that are present there now. Yes, American sanctions have a lot to do with it, but the oligarchs who live there, who used to control the oil revenues, are very much responsible for the situation that is going on there now.
You know, we actually spoke about that in detail. In other words, the oligarch are they're trying to do the same thing Bush did in Panama. I got to go, David, because I'm filled up again. But thank you so kindly for calling. Anything that you, I mean, if I haven't answered all the questions, is there any specific? What did I miss?
Oh, you addressed most of it, but you could still expound upon more on the corporate welfare and the media's protection of.
I'll do that. Thank you so kindly for calling, David. Let me address that real quick, folks. The reason we have corporate welfare is because we have a derelict media that does not frame the debate as far as how much money we give to corporations. I can talk about the depletion allowance. I can talk about a whole lot of different allowances that we give to corporations, not only on a national level, but the stadium that gets built. They never can find money for schools, but they can always find money for stadiums. All of that is corporate welfare that we can speak about. At some time, I'll go in more detail. But for now, let me go to Tommy. Tommy, come on in.
Hey, so what's up, man?
Talk to me, my brother.
Hey, why is it that liberals seem to, like, when they talk about corporations, it's always like a negative connotation to it?
Well,
is there any, like, charitable organizations? For example, I'll put it to you like this.
Yes.
You know, are you familiar with Tillman Fertitta?
Yes, I do. I am.
He owns the Rockets. Just for those that don't know, he owns the Rockets.
I know.
And Landry's and Kima Boardwalk and whatnot. But he's very charitable. So if you tax him, this is obviously, I don't know, but I just feel like, how is he going to pay his players? Would he then have to raise prices, ticket prices to Toyota Center?
Let me tell you, Tommy, and you and I have spoken before. I don't think you understand the extent of the wealth and extraction of these guys. When you talk about the philanthropy that these people give are generally PR stunts, okay? In other words, they're PR stunts so that we can look at them benevolently. But what goes on behind the doors is horrendous. The extraction that these guys have. If I were to itemize exactly what these different companies do, I don't have the time to do it because I have a bunch of calls after you. But I mean, but I'm telling you, when you ask me, they are good companies now, good corporations. Let me tell you, one of the reasons that when what's his name decided to run upset me so much is I'm a Starbucks junkie. Okay.
Yeah, the CEO guy.
Right. Now, Starbucks was a company I would always talk positive about. I go there. I go to other coffee shops, independent coffee shops as well. But I go to Starbucks, and one of the reasons I go to Starbucks is because they pay health care for their employees. They also give their employees schooling, all that good stuff. They're a good citizen. So I spoke about them that way. But most other companies, they're evil. I mean, I can tell you, we can look at oil companies and they give good donations here and there. But when you go to Cancer Alley in Pasadena, that is, I consider that murder. We don't.
Okay. Well, I am kind of a company. You know, I drive a truck, and I explained to you. I am self-employed. Right?
Yes, you are.
But I don't. I told you this on the show. I give money because I want it to go where I want it to go. So I don't do it, and the only reason I told you was because you were on the show,
right?
And we're talking about it. But nobody else knew that. Nobody ever knew that because I just here's the deal. I give because I want my money to go to where I want it to go and not to the government. Because I don't trust the government.
And that's fine. But that's fine. But you know what? You don't trust the government, but your company would not exist without the government, Tommy. And I think I told you that on a web page. You're driving right now on the roads that all of us around here built. You are doing.
I agree with you on that.
Not only that, you're burning gas and polluting the air and killing a whole lot of folks as well, but you're not wanting. No, I'm not saying it. I'm exaggerating, okay? I am.
Indirectly, I guess.
Yes. But so what I'm saying is, please don't tell me, my brother, and I have to let you go, Tommy, because I have a bunch of calls that I got to finish up.
I got you.
Okay?
All right, brother. I'll be talking to you.
We talk later, man. Take care.
See you at the crossroads.
Right. Okay, brother. Bye-bye. All right, let's go to Samuel. And Samuel, I'm only going to give you 35 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay, no worries, Alberto. Hope everything's going good for you.
Talk to me.
I'm glad you brought up Cancer Valley and Pasadena area
Mm-hmm.
because, that's a rate of asthma that's a lot higher than other places in the greater Houston area. And I also want to note that I did a project recently in human geography over toxic sites and landfill sites in the Houston area. And It's pretty astounding how those line up with lower socioeconomic areas.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely have to be smarter about who we elect and smarter about the information we have to obtain.
Thank you so kindly for calling in, Samuel. And you keep listening. And next time I give you more time. Okay, buddy?
All right.
Thank you now. Bye-bye. Okay, let's go to Tori, line 5. Tori, you got 30 seconds.
Okay, so somebody wanted to talk about foreign policy on your show about taxes.
Yes.
This is where they intersect.
Okay.
You know that the CIA is going to vet any U.S. corporation that wants to do business outside of the USA.
Okay.
At the same time, any shell corporation that the CIA sets up to do business overseas so that they can do their CIA business, and undercover, and that's their favorite way is to set up, shell corporations. Those shell corporations don't have to report their profits.
Right.
Okay. And so now let you do the math. There's a whole bunch of U.S. businessmen that want to do business overseas and don't want to pay taxes. And you can only imagine how many of them hook up with the CIA in order to make this happen.
Thank you so kindly. I thank you for bringing that up, Tori. I can't answer that right now. Got to go to Tag. All right. Okay, let's go. Tag, numero 4. Come on in.
Hey, Egberto. I have to ask the question.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever played poker with a rich guy?
The truth of the matter, I'm so embarrassed to say this. I don't play poker. Well, go ahead.
But the thing is that when you're playing poker with a rich guy, he can always buy the pot out. He can bid it up, and nobody else can compete with him because you can't keep bidding or raising like they do.
I
You see what
got
I'm saying?
you. Yeah.
And it's the same way in business. These people have got so much money that the average person just can't do anything about it because we don't have enough skin to be in the game anymore.
You know something? Let me tell you something, Tag, that I wrote in my book. The patent laws, people don't understand. People just think it's about money, right? They don't understand things like patents have a place as well, right? I designed a one-click type interface for the web one time, right? And it was time for me to start building it because, you do some research to find out if it's there, if there are any restrictions or whatever. And what I found out is that Amazon patented one click. So therefore, here's this little one-person software company. I couldn't develop one click and sell it because they patented software, something that came out of my head.
Yep,
So it came out of a lot of other people's heads, but because they patented, none of us could get in there.
Because we're short of time, let me ask you this, and a couple of those things maybe you can comment some other time.
Sure.
But the thing is that as the U.S. money supply expands,
right,
with all these big corporate moguls who
Right.
are making all this money, they're creating wealth all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So as a corporate or as the money supply expands, the government needs to pay interest on that money to print it, right, or to
Right.
create it.
Right. Yes.
So a lot of people don't understand the cost of expanding the money supply, which these people are doing, and they can't even create enough money anymore to keep up with what these guys are making. So that is an enormous expense that that we are paying.
I just want to correct one thing real quick, Tag, and that is most of the money today is on a computer ledger. But we'll talk about this later, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
I just think people need to understand how the money supply works.
All right. Thank you so kindly, my
Thanks.
brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, John, line 6, real quick.
Hey, but when you mentioned about the PR stunt?
Yes, sir.
I thought that was very interesting because the fact that I feel like progressive Democrat is going to fail because the corporate Democrats like GE that owns NBC, you could see them coming around TV all the time, always promoting higher taxes, but they got tax breaks, so it's only going to hurt the middle class instead of upper middle class.
You know something,
It's not
John?
gonna
John, you're so right. I mean, but let me tell you something, brother. You hear me talk about corporate Democrats. You hear me talk about establishment Democrats. You hear me talk about also progressives. I am talking about we have to be responsible for bringing progressives into the fold so that the truth that you just said isn't realized. I gotta go, John, but I got your point. Okay.
Okay, buddy.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go. Number Bill, come on in, Bill.
Hi, yeah, I was just going to say something about, I don't think that international trade and globalism is really the problem. We've been, as humankind, we have been trading internationally for thousands of years, in different regions, interregional trade. I think it's corporatism that's the problem, and that's what people get wrong.
Sir, I think
right now I don't think that the economy has adjusted to automation and highly skilled labor that's very specialized. And we still haven't solved that problem yet.
I got to go.
This is what we need to focus on.
I got to go, but you've made a very smart part. As soon as you brought in automation, etc., because you can also define automation sort of as the people on the other side of the world who are willing to work for cheap, right? It does the same thing, right? It makes the necessary American labor force not needed as much, but corporatism is the one that that's another.
I think one thing I want to add in is there's not as much need for human labor, but at the same time, this has paved the way for this really big wealthy billionaire class. And I just want to say, I hear a lot of conservatives saying the billionaires will leave if you start taxing them a lot.
Where are they going to go?
Afraid of? Why are you afraid of them?
Thank you.
They need us. We don't need them. They need our labor. They need our ideas to capitalize and invest on. Why are you afraid of?
I hope you listened. I hope you listened to the blog of the week that I did earlier. But I got to go. Thank you so kindly for calling, Bill. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care, brother. All right, let's go to Gary. Come on in, Gary.
Egberto, I just called to tell you this is your best show ever, and I wanted to say thank you.
Oh, wow. I am so touched. I
enjoyed every caller and everything. It was fantastic.
Coming from Gary, do you know what that means?
No, you're going to let me talk about climate change?
Okay, you got about 30 seconds to talk about climate change.
No, I already told you about the billionaires last time.
Okay, good.
You got to spend $1 million a year over 1,000 years. You may be making too much money. That's what $1 billion is.
All right.
Nobody does the math, all right? It's obscene. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so kindly, Gary. Okay, folks, let me tell you something. I want to tell you guys, I wanted to do this show. I was irate over this entire week, and I've done it. Oh, I got another call. I'm going to take it. Okay, come on in real quick.
Hello?
Yes, come on in real quick. You got 20 seconds.
Okay. I just would hope that number one issue in my mind is climate and global, and I haven't heard global warming. I haven't heard one thing about it today, so I'd like...
Yes. I can't hear you. Okay, I think you dropped off, but anyhow, let me, if you haven't heard me talk about climate change, apologies. I actually had a climate change expert on 2 days ago on my last show, and also I will continue doing climate change. Periodically, I'll be doing the Green New Deal as well. Folks, thank you so kindly for being a part of this show. We had a wonderful time with you. You guys are wonderful. I love you all. We have to stick together. And we have to be educated together. We have to be enlightened together, because the only way we are going to really make a change in this country is if we do it together. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and I am out.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.